The iPhone 16e isn't the budget iPhone we were all expecting. It's not an SE and comes with a price tag that nobody was expecting. $599. Overpriced? Maybe. But there's something about this iPhone that truly sets it apart. A new category with a purpose that you didn't see coming. I'll tell you all about it at the end, but before, we've got priority. This is the iPhone 16e and this is my review. Let's start talking design. We get a 6.1-inch gorgeous Super Retina XDR OLED display. The display has beautiful true black, vibrant colors, and a peak brightness of 1200 nits. If we compare that to the 16 or 16 Pro, which come at 1600 nits, it's quite low compared to the flagship. We also do not have a ProMotion display. The display will still refresh at 60 Hz, which for a lot of people, this sounds crazy, especially for the price tag of this iPhone. It sounds crazy, but it's also not. More onto that later. IP60 dust and water resistance, and a gorgeous matte textured glass back that makes it have an incredible premium feel, very similar to what we have on the standard iPhone 16. And colors. If you want vibrant and fun colors, well, this might not be your iPhone, because the iPhone 16e only comes in black and white. So if you want that hot, sexy pink iPhone, you're gonna have to pay a couple $100 more. And Apple knows that. Once again, more onto that later. The heart of the iPhone is the A18 chip, which is the exact same chipset as the 16 and 16 Pro. It is an incredible chipset that obviously brings Apple Intelligence, ray tracing for gaming, incredibly fast AI processing, making it lightning fast for your day-to-day tasks to your gaming on the evening. Now let's talk battery and charging, because it's probably one of its biggest strengths and also one of its biggest weaknesses. The 16e delivers up to 26 hours of video playback. That is absolutely insanity for an iPhone of this size. Think about it. This iPhone is cheaper than an iPhone 16 and has a longer battery life. It's truly one of the biggest advancements Apple has made to the iPhone in years, bringing this level of battery life with all of these features, using AI, using the A18 chip. And it's mainly because of this one change that Apple brought to the iPhone that I'll tell you about in just a second. Just think about this. The iPhone 16e has 6 more hours of battery life than an iPhone 11. 6 hours more. Once again, it's got a longer battery life than a more expensive iPhone 16. I can't say this enough. The amount of people that will go into an Apple store looking for an iPhone by just saying, I just want the iPhone with the best battery life and the great camera, and Apple will probably point at the 16e because the battery life is killer. With this size, with this chip, with the camera, it just takes all the arguments from this iPhone to a whole other level. Now, on the other hand, the bad thing about this iPhone is its charging. Sadly, no iPhone can be perfect, because the iPhone 16e does not have MagSafe, which is an incredible big deal to me. MagSafe is essential to me. The MagSafe ecosystem is massive, from chargers to wallets to cases. MagSafe is essential, and Apple, to bring the cost down for this iPhone, they decided not to make it compatible with it. And sadly, it doesn't stop there. It's obviously compatible with wireless charging, but at a speed that you probably weren't expecting. Your iPhone 16e will only charge at 7.5 watts with wireless charging. If you don't know what that means, it basically charges really, really slowly with wireless charging. Now, what does this mean in real life? If you put your iPhone in a wireless charger overnight, it will obviously charge it to 100%, but it's not something you want to use throughout the day. You'll want to charge it via USB-C if you want faster speeds, which is also not the fastest, but it will do the job. Now, another main protagonist of this iPhone is the camera setup. Now, you get one single 48 megapixel camera. Now, the best thing about this single camera setup is that it basically acts like two. You'll be able to do ×2 telephoto mode with optical quality at 52 millimeters of focal length. You also get Smart HDR5, night mode, and deep fusion for low light photography. The 16e does not have a worse camera than the 16 Pro. In fact, they've actually got pretty much the same camera setup. So it will deliver astonishing, beautiful, vivid images with incredible detail, beautiful contrast, with a very balanced look. You don't have all of the camera features or all the camera lenses like the 16 Pro or 16, like the ultra wide lens, which is a big deal for me. You also do not have macro photography. You don't have cinematic mode, action mode, which are features that I use daily and are a big deal to me once again. But once again, you don't have to forget about the price of this thing. In terms of video, it is incredible. Video will go up to 4K at 60 frames per second with Dolby Vision video recording. And no matter what model you have, if it's an iPhone, you're always going to get best video out there in the competition with incredible autofocus and mind-blowing stabilization, even though you don't have action mode. Video on iPhone is one of its biggest strengths, and this is no exception. Now, something that's also a big deal is Apple Intelligence. Since the 16E has the A18 chip, it has enough power to run all of Apple's AI features. And while it might seem to a lot of people that Apple Intelligence is kind of irrelevant, trust me on this one, it won't be in a couple years. That's why the iPhone 16E is such a better purchase than an iPhone 15, for example. Because of one reason. You won't have Apple Intelligence with an iPhone 15 now, but most importantly, you won't have Apple Intelligence once. It's an incredibly big deal. And the way that Apple is treating AI, it truly looks like it's going to be a very big deal. In terms of the now, there are some incredibly useful features within Apple Intelligence. Siri is more natural, context-aware, and now integrates directly with ChatGPT when it needs to. And having ChatGPT integration is incredibly useful. It's basically having a ChatGPT assistant right on the phone whenever you want to. You've got Apple's Genmoji, which allows you to generate custom emojis, which is so much fun. You've got writing tools, so if you want to rewrite a text, summarize it, or make it more professional, or probably my favorite feature, visual intelligence, which is also a brand new feature to the iPhone, which allows you to point your camera at an object for instant info. And the best thing about it is that it's compatible with its new feature, the action button. The 16E has an action button. It replaces the ring silent switch for quick customizable action. For opening the camera, which is a big deal because on the more expensive 16 and 16 Pro, you've got camera control, which is an incredibly useful button dedicated to the camera. And in a way, you can customize the action button to do exactly that. Open up the camera. You can turn on the flashlight, start recording a voice memo, but probably the most useful for me is visual intelligence. Now, Apple's biggest advancement with this iPhone is its modem. Before I tell you about it, what is a modem? A modem allows your iPhone to connect to your cellular network from 3G, 4G, or in this case, 5G. A modem manages all of the communication of your iPhone, from your data, your texting, or your calling. And Apple has pretty much always used Qualcomm for its modem, but now Apple has done it in-house with its all-new Apple C1, which according to Apple, it is way much more faster, but most importantly, more efficient, which is probably one of the reasons the battery life on this iPhone is so great. I can't wait for Apple to bring the C1 to the Pro Max models. Just imagine how insane the battery life can be. It's truly incredible when Apple has all of the control from their phone. From the software to their hardware, that's where you get incredible efficiency, which at the end of the day is outstanding battery life. The iPhone 16E is incredibly interesting. It brings a new category to the iPhone. It's not a budget iPhone, even though it's Apple's most affordable iPhone right now. And what I mean about Apple's purpose with this iPhone is this. The iPhone SE existed to bring all of Apple's most essential features to the iPhone and bring it at the most affordable price tag. The iPhone SE's second generation was released in April in 2020, and it was $399. Then the third generation iPhone SE came in March of 2022, and it went up in price for $29. And now there's no iPhone SE. Now there's no cheap iPhone anymore. The most interesting thing about this iPhone is that it doesn't feel like a budget iPhone. Even though it's got a notch and it doesn't have a dynamic island, even though it's only got one single camera lens, this iPhone feels like a flagship. Its battery life, its camera setup, its design, the action button, it truly feels like an iPhone 16. And the most interesting thing about this is that now when you walk into an Apple store, there's no $400 price tag on any iPhone. If you want the cheapest iPhone from Apple, this is the one that's available right now. You're gonna have to spend over $600 on the most affordable iPhone right now, which is a completely new strategy for Apple. If you want a cheaper iPhone, you can still buy them refurbished on Apple's website. There's obviously still the option to buy an iPhone in secondhand. It's an incredibly interesting strategy from Apple, and I can't wait to see what's next with the E series. Because whether you agree with me or not, this iPhone will sell like candy, and there's no doubt that it could be your next iPhone. Thank you for watching. If you want to keep watching more 16E content, you can tap right here, or you can subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.